Ask Reddit by Reddit Real. What was the incident that made you cut somebody close out of your life? I had a friend who kept insisting I had a mental illness and wouldn't stop even if I told her. She began telling my friends and even asking if they thought the same thing. Because of this incident and her toxic personality, I decided to tell her to fuck off, which was definitely for the better. Camera pans back. OP is in a padded room wearing a straitjacket. OP laughs maniacally, hahaha. Fade to black. This exact thing happened to me. She had a lot of mental issues and she tried to mirror them in me. She has clinical anxiety and subclinical depression and is medicated for it. She said she saw traces in me and that I had to go to the psychiatrist. I have some issues, but therapy once a month is working just fine. I used to go to the same pub every week on the regular with the same group of peeps. Was an awesome time for a while. One of the girls got a new, slightly weird boyfriend, and kinda went downhill as a human. This culminated in one particular night, which would be our last time going as a result. On this night, she started being a huge witch to the server because the wings were taking too long. This is wing night. There are like 150 people here for cheap wings, and the server obviously has nothing to do with how long food takes to come out. So her and her boyfriend literally trashed the table we were sitting at, spraying condiments all over, wetting napkins with sauce and sticking them everywhere, and everybody else literally gets up and moves or leaves. She was laughing like a psycho. Her and her boyfriend were clearly getting off on one-upping each other's do-do-ness, and I decided I did not need that type of lunatic in my life. Best friend of 12 years, from young kids all the way up to 18 years old. He had a rough home life and the day he turned 18 his parents kicked him out, so we let him move in with us. This didn't really work out. He proved to be a terrible roommate and spent the next several months being a major pain in the ass. I won't go into major details beyond the breaking point. At the end of it, he was browsing MySpace on my computer when he found out through it that his girlfriend at the time was cheating on him. His response to this was to completely destroy my computer in a fit of rage, then demand I drive him down the hour-long trip to the college she was attending the next state over. I decided to do so. When I dropped him off at her dorm, I made it clear in no uncertain terms that if he ever wanted to be back in my life he wouldn't come back until he showed up with enough money to buy me a replacement computer. He never did, and I haven't spoken to him in over a decade as a result. My uncle basically forced my grandma to adopt a cat they found. He said he would pay for all the cat's expenses, vet, food, litter, etc. Since my grandma does not work and can't really afford the expenses of owning a pet. After 2 or 3 years of my grandma living with the cat, he got a bladder infection and had to be rushed to the vet since he had not peed in a couple of days. Grandma did not notice this. My mom had to drive them cause my grandma is not a confident driver, and neither of them speaks English very well. Because of this my uncle was the one who was talking with the vet over the cat's treatments, and it boiled down to either putting the cat down or do an expensive medical procedure. My uncle, instead of telling my grandma what the situation was and that the cat needed surgery, he simply told her that they needed to put the cat down and to let me know so I could go say goodbye to him. Once I arrived to the vet and see my mom and grandma crying cause they are saying their last goodbyes, I talked to the nurse wondering if there is anything we can do whatsoever to save his life. She looks at me confused and tells me that we could do an operation on him that had good chances of being successful. I tell my mom and grandma this and they are confused because my uncle told them the cat could not be saved. I ended up paying for the surgery and Valentino, cat's name, is still wagging his tail to this day. That was the day I stopped talking to my uncle. He has a very well-paying job, no kids nor family. Money is not an issue to him, yet he still decided to just put him down regardless of all the pain my grandma was going to feel. Had a cousin I loved like a brother. Me and him would always hang out. One day he introduces me to his new GF. I fell in love with her at first sight. Her and I were compatible in every way, shape and form. Even her parents were everything I ever wanted and we got along insanely well. Her dad would actually come home late from work and wake me up so we could play video game and talk. My cousin would then proceed to tell me all the times he cheated on her, show me photos of the girls and tell me the stories. When he wasn't telling me about how he cheated on her, he was complaining about her and the relationship. She found out twice he cheated and twice she forgave him. We used to talk a lot. She knew I had problems with depression and anger. She asked how do I pretend to be happy around people and it broke my heart. I never felt so much pain to see someone I fell in love with experience so much sadness. I cut all ties with my cousin and her. Found out from my mother they got engaged last October. People say life is fair and karma happens, but I've seen proof that it's all bullpuppy. People can be trash all their lived and still reap the benefits. My mother knows I'll never go near him or his family again. This friend I had wouldn't shut up how bad I am with girls. He's not wrong since I've only been in one in my life, and even that barely counts because of my passiveness back then. Even so, he has never been in one single relationship and had just discovered dating advice videos on YouTube. Because of this, he was acting like he was some sort of sex expert even though he barely had any social life aside from me, and kept going on and on how bad I was. Then he also started to say other shit he had heard in those videos, like all women are easy, and not the playful way either. He was seriously saying that as soon as you're not with your girl, she will instantly start looking for someone else. Now that pissed me off because all women include my mother and grandmother, so there was no way in hell I could stand there and take his bullspoopy. Haven't spoke to him since then. Don't really plan to either, unless I manage to find a girlfriend and then show up asking him. He thinks that she's easy to. Close-ish. I hosted a party a while back, inviting close friends and some slightly more extended friends. Food, drinks, games. I was talking about work with a close friend. We both work in technology. Extended friend sees us talking careers, etc. He walks up and asks me if I think he's successful. The guy has been working at a gas station for the last 3 or 4 years or so. I had had a couple of drinks already, but I could recognize emotional blackmail a mile away. I told him that I think he's successful as if he thinks he is. Though my answer was a cop-out, so he kept trying to bait me into saying that I don't think he's successful. Close friend called him out, and the guy left me alone for the night. It makes me pretty mad for sure. I haven't talked to him since the incident. They started engaging in behavior around my kids which reminded me a little bit too strongly of the way I was treated by a child molester when I was little. And they tried to get my kids to ignore rules that I had set and replace them with their own rules. Wise choice. Good for you for noticing. What kind of behavior is that? I was molested as well, but due to awful parents, he didn't exactly have to be sneaky about it, so I don't have any real pointers. As a result of that, I get very paranoid every time a guy is alone with my nieces, when they're my responsibility. For the sake of my mental health, I don't worry when they're elsewhere. If you search grooming abuse on Google, it will give you red flags to look out for. I basically saw all of these. There's one sign that so far hasn't ever let me down. If you just feel uncomfortable about their interactions with the kids, and maybe get a sick feeling to your stomach, then trust your gut. I've had multiple instances where I ended an acquaintance because of this, and sure enough saw pretty scary news reports later. My ex and I were really good and friends, at least until he told people at my mom's work that my dad was on crack. He wasn't. After I told him I didn't want to see him again, he gave me $10 from his dad as an apology and started spreading rumors about how I used him for money. I, in fact, told him to stop buying me things cause it made it look like he was buying my love and that I cheated on him. I was actually loyal. He cheated on me right before Valentine's Day, only telling me he had done it on Valentine's Day. I, stupidly, forgave him and gave him a second chance. She said I was becoming arrogant. All my life I was a very submissive person, full of guilt for any perceived slight I might have made against someone, and generally apologetic for being the huge waste of space I thought I was. This girl I was friends with for 10+ years tended to prey upon that. I was a walking doormat, and would do anything she wanted. When I met my husband, he helped bring me out of that mentality, helped me become more assertive, and to stop letting people walk all over me and take advantage of my submissive nature. This friend saw that and tried to stop it. She said I was changing, but not for the better. That I was becoming arrogant and selfish and a bad friend. At the time I was devastated, but my husband said, she can't control you anymore, and that scares her. He was right. Going 5 years since I cut her, and some of our mutual friends, from my life, and I've never been in a better place mentally. Thanks for watching. Like and don't forget to subscribe. Good things will come your way if you do.